Report: Microsoft exploring major Xbox restructuring as it pushes for faster first-party game releases. A new report suggests that Microsoft may be considering significant organizational changes for Xbox, including the possibility of splitting the game division into a standalone subsidiary as the company looks for ways to improve its long-term performance. According to claims shared by The Information and highlighted by Windows Central, Microsoft has discussed several structure options for Xbox. Among the ideas reportedly under consideration are reorganizing the business into a wholly owned subsidiary or creating a joint venture with outside partners. While sources indicate that no immediate restructuring plans have been finalized, they also say these possibilities remain on the table if company leadership believes they could strengthen Xbox's position and improve its financial outlook. A greater emphasis on first-party franchises. The report also claims Microsoft wants to accelerate development on some of its biggest first-party properties. Franchises such as Halo, Fallout, and The Elder Scrolls are reportedly expected to receive increased attention, with Fallout and The Elder Scrolls said to be particularly priorities under Xbox CEO Asha Sharma. The company is also believed to be considering increased investment in high-profile first-party releases during the upcoming fiscal year. If accurate, the strategy would signal a renewed focus on leveraging Microsoft's most recognizable gaming brands to drive engagement and revenue. Rumors follow reports of broader changes. The restructuring claims arrive amid a wave of speculation surrounding Xbox's future direction. Recent reports have suggested Microsoft is evaluating budget reductions and preparing for another round of workforce cuts as part of a broader effort to reshape the gaming division. Some rumors also indicate the company plans to reduce marketing expenditures while reassessing spending across multiple areas of the business. Separately, reports have suggested that Gears of War E-Day could remain exclusive to Xbox consoles as part of an effort to reinforce the platform's identity and appeal to longtime fans. Financial pressures continue to shape strategy. The reported discussions come as Xbox faces ongoing questions about profitability and long-term sustainability. Microsoft has spent billions of dollars acquiring major publishers and studios over the past decade, adding franchises like Call of Duty, Fallout, The Elder Scrolls, and numerous other intellectual properties to its portfolio. However, industry observers continue to debate how effectively those assets have translated into sustained financial growth for the Xbox ecosystem. The possibility of reorganizing Xbox into a separate corporate entity may therefore reflect an effort to give the division greater operational flexibility while maintaining Microsoft ownership. Nothing has been confirmed. At this stage, it is important to note that these reports remain unconfirmed by Microsoft. Sources familiar with the discussion suggest that no final decisions has been made, and that any restructuring would depend on whether leadership believes it would create a more successful and sustainable business. For now, Xbox appears to be at a crossroads. Whether Microsoft ultimately pursues a major corporate reorganization or simply doubles down on faster game development and stronger first-party support, the company's next moves could significantly shape the future of the brand and its role within the gaming industry. Now, normally this is where I would tell you my thoughts, and like I said, this is one topic. Xbox in general is one topic I have a lot to talk about. But this isn't the only article that I have on Xbox, so I'm going to hold off on what I was saying until I read the second article. And then I'll give you my thoughts on Xbox as a whole. Um, that way I don't have to worry about holding something back uh, before I read the article and then go back to what I wanted to say. So, um, is Xbox facing a turning point or just more of the same? Is Xbox approaching a major inflection point, or its entity company, Microsoft technology company, simply going to continue its current strategy until something finally clicks, or until it potentially restructures or even spins off its gaming division? That question has intensified following a week of mixed signals. A strong Xbox showcase that highlighted upcoming games and hardware, followed shortly after by a blunt internal memo from Xbox CEO Asha Sharma. Microsoft Xbox executive describing the need for a reset across the business. During a recent appearance at the New York Times Hard Fork event, Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella was asked about the future structure of Xbox. While he avoided revealing any concrete strategy shifts, his comments made clear that profitability remains a major concern. The challenge now for us is to think about how do you innovate both in hardware as well as in the games going forward in a world in an economically viable way, Nadia said. He emphasized that Microsoft has invested heavily in gaming over the past 2 decades, but now needs to ensure Xbox becomes a sustainable business rather than a subsidized one. He added that Xbox has historically struggled to fully monetize its ecosystem. According to Nadia, a surprising amount of gaming revenue tied to Xbox titles is now being captured outside Microsoft's own platforms, including on services like YouTube. That doesn't mean we don't do anything unnatural, he said. We still want to build great games and great hardware, but we have to do it in an economically sustainable way. He also noted that Sharma, early in her tenure, is conducting a 100-day review to reassess Xbox's direction across both hardware and publishing. The broader context behind these comments is increasingly stark. Sharma recently highlighted that Xbox's current operating margins are reportedly around 3%, an unusually low figure for a business of its scale within Microsoft. Internally, that has raised uncomfortable comparisons, with some suggesting the capital might have performed better in passive investment vehicles. At the same time, macroeconomic pressures are complicating matters further. The ongoing AI driven demand surge across Microsoft's business has contributed to rising costs for key components like memory and semiconductors, directly impacting gaming hardware production. That raises difficult questions about how Xbox plans to launch its next generation hardware, reportedly part of the Project Helix initiative, into an already expensive market. Nadia acknowledged these pressures, pointing to supply constraints affecting PCs, phones, and consoles alike. However, he suggested these issues may be temporary, even if the broader business model question is not. There is a permanent thing in what the Xbox model is going forward, he said, noting that gaming now spans consoles, PCs, mobile devices, and cloud platforms. Depending on interpretation, Microsoft's messaging can be read in a few different ways. One view is that these statements are standard corporate language, carefully framed acknowledgments of industry challenges without any real strategic revelation. Another is that Microsoft itself is still unsure how to evolve Xbox and is waiting to finalize decisions until after its latest wave of restructuring and layoffs across the gaming division. A more critical reading suggests impatience at the top. Microsoft has invested more than $80 billion into gaming acquisitions over the past decade, including major franchises such as Call of Duty and services like Game Pass. Yet Xbox still trails competitors in profitability and market positioning. Meanwhile, rival platforms have built more efficient monetization engines. Um, Valve generates consistent revenue through store commissions via Steam, while YouTube has built a massive advertising ecosystem around gaming content, much of it based on games originally published by Microsoft itself. The company's earlier attempt to enter that space with Mixer ultimately failed to gain traction and was shut down. The challenge for Microsoft is that it already owns many of the pieces needed for a dominant gaming ecosystem: blockbuster IPs, subscription services, cloud infrastructure, and hardware. That includes everything from Candy Crush to Call of Duty alongside Game Pass and cloud streaming. The problem, as critics point out, is not ownership, it's integration. Bringing all of these components together into a cohesive, profitable ecosystem remains the central challenge. As Nadia put it, Microsoft must bring it all together while staying true to what we've always done. But whether that balance can be achieved has become the defining question of the current Xbox era. For now, it remains unclear whether this is the beginning of a true strategic reset or simply another cycle of restructuring without a fundamental shift in direction. Either way, the next few years will determine whether Xbox finally finds its long-term model or continues searching for one under increasing pressure. Now, that's not the only things I wanted to go over. There was a comment left on the story I just read, and that's also something else that I wanted to go over. So just let me pull up that comment. Booze gets me through. This was about 11 hours ago. Says, you know how every presidential administration puts the blame of all current problems on the former administration, but takes credit for all current good things happening, whether it is fair or not. I am pretty sure that's what Microsoft Xbox are doing right now. There's exactly zero logic in discussing all this so publicly unless they are trying to convince the public that Spencer was the big scary man. Well, maybe Phil Spencer was not the big scary man. Maybe he was the big dumbass. I mean, let's look at what Phil Spencer wanted to do over the last few years of Xbox, or did over the last few years while he was in control. The Activision Blizzard merger, $75.6 billion with a B. Once it was all added up and everything. And what did he do with all those IPs he got access to? Let's see. He put Call of Duty 3 Remake on Game Pass. He put Black Ops 6 on Game Pass. And he did absolutely nothing with all the other games he had access to. I'll say it again. When the merger went through, and me and Dr. Games 101 were talking about it on the Let's Discuss Gaming podcast, we were like, wow, look at all these franchises he has. He has Tony Hawk. He has True Crime. He has, I think you can throw Sleeping Dogs in there since Sleeping Dogs was supposed to be a reboot of True Crime. And he did absolutely nothing with it. He didn't put the older games of Call of Duty on Game Pass. He put the two um, most recent ones that came, like the one that came out right before the acquisition and the first one that came out while after the acquisition on Game Pass. Um, Now me, and I might be wrong. There's the golden period for Call of Duty, in my opinion, was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, the original, the first Black Ops, around that time zone. Dr. Games 101 said he prefers like the first Call of Duties, like the big red one, which was Call of Duty 2, uh, World at War, the first Black Ops, not the first Black Ops, the first Modern Warfare, the original Modern Warfare, Call of Duty 4. But it doesn't matter because he didn't do any of that. But so I mean, if you spend, it's almost like buying inventory for a store and then not putting it out on the shelves. But how much money is that inventory really going to make if you don't put it out to the public? I mean, if there was an announcement that came out that said True Crime and Tony Hawk and uh, what else, and other games in that merger were um, now on Game Pass, people, I bet that would have gotten a lot of people to flock to it, at least for a first month. But no, you're not going to find any of the older Call of Duty or the first Black Ops era. You're not going to find any of that on Game Pass. Okay, let's get away from that. Um, so what else has Phil Spencer done? Well, he passed on Spider-Man. Yeah, Spider-Man that's doing gangbuster numbers for PS5. That could have been Xbox exclusive, but he passed on it. He didn't see the money in it. Okay? He admitted defeat. He waved the white flag saying Xbox lost the console race. Now, I'm surprised that move alone didn't kill Xbox right then and there. So, these are just a few of the things off the top of my head that Phil Spencer has done that I've called him out on. Oh, also, the one thing I called him out just near the end of the Let's Discuss Gaming podcast run was the fact that he knew he was going to let people go when the Activision Blizzard merger went through. He said he knew he was going to have to let thousands of people go. So, yeah, when Phil Spencer has done all those things and said all those things, yeah, he caused a lot of harm to the Xbox brand name in general. And and the truth is, honestly, if Phil Spencer had come to me, like in 2023, 2024, well, more 2024, 2025, and said, "Do you want to work for Xbox? Do you have the ideas to help me get this back to competing with Nintendo and Sony?" I would have said no. I would have said, "You wrecked the Xbox name beyond repair." Um, and the thing is, while Phil Spencer deserves all of that blame, there's a reason Asha Sharma doesn't. Asha Sharma hasn't even been there for 100 days. You can't, unless you can't just walk in a company, snap your fingers, and um and just expect everything to change that you want to change. Changes take time. And the thing is, people were criticizing Asha Sharma, and it's like, guys, she hasn't even had her first lunch yet working for Xbox. Why don't we at least give her time to see what she's going to do before we start criticizing her? Now, after a year, if things have just remained stagnant or gotten worse, then you can criticize her. But she hasn't even been there for a third of the year yet. I almost forgot. Gears of War and Halo, they were going to be coming to PlayStation under Phil Spencer. It was Phil Spencer who bought Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. He only got it exclusive to Xbox for 4 months and then wanted it on PlayStation as well. Like I said, he's done a lot of things to wreck the Xbox name. And so, yeah, Phil Spencer's done a lot of damage. And it's unfortunately, he's wrecked so much that first, I'm surprised anyone agreed that they could fix Phil Spencer's mistakes. Um, like I said, I would have been handed a sinking ship. But at the same time, when you look at these decisions, yeah, Asha Sharma, she needs time to fix what Phil Spencer broke. Um, but that's why there's confusion about whether Gears of War E-Day will be on PlayStation, which it looks like it won't be because Asha Sharma said no, that series is staying on Xbox, an Xbox exclusive. So yeah, we're not. No one's trying to make Phil Spencer look like the big scary man. But if you're gonna be honest with yourself, you gotta be honest with what he's broken. You gotta be honest with you gotta be honest that he didn't do a good job. And that's why he was replaced. Honestly, I don't know why it took so long for him to be replaced, but but at least he was replaced, and yes, he's still there. I know he's still got like what's uh 4 more months there, three and a half, because they said he's not leaving till October, but he's not like in charge of anything right now. So yeah, Xbox is in a lot of trouble, but Phil Spencer left it like the Titanic. Um, and to reverse what Phil Spencer has done, that's going to take time. And even if it wasn't as bad off as it currently is, uh, you still need new to give management time to implement whatever changes they want to implement. You know, so I mean, maybe Asha Sharma can add more of the games from the Activision Blizzard merger and the other mergers to Game Pass. Maybe some of those IPs will even be revived or remade or have a sequel or um, you know, but at the same time to say like, well, to say Phil Spencer's just being blamed. No, he's the one who caused a lot of the problems, which is why he was replaced to begin with. But what do you think? Do you think I'm wrong? Do you think Phil Spencer was doing fabulous at his job? Do you think Asha Sharma, even though she hasn't been given really that much time, in my opinion, do you think that she's not living up to potential? Um, Let me know in the comments below.